All right, hello and welcome to the Hour of Scampering. How's everyone doing on what I hope is a fantastic August 19th, a wonderful Monday? Jeff, how you been?
Pretty good. Pretty good. A little tired. I had a little nap this afternoon.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was refreshing. It was only
It,
about 20 minutes. It was a power nap. So
yeah. Like,
a
isn't it
nap
amazing
nonetheless.
that we've hit the age where like naps are rewards instead of punishments?
Yes, very much. How are you, Matthew?
I'm doing well. And by the way, hey everyone in chat. I see Mr. Lindell is here. Thomas Potts, Joe Miller, glad you're with us tonight. Omnicast, thanks for coming out here. Cinnabon and Patrick. Hey, aren't you? You shouldn't just be in a vast sleep. You should be sleeping vastly. It is late or slash early where you are.
Very.
Are we just jumping into it? No, Joe. We'll talk a little bit beforehand. Let people kind of trickle in here. I really threw Texas off the other day. We like jumped right into it one week, and he showed up at the usual time. And he's like, whoa. What do you mean you're already going here? So, uh, you know, try and stick to the schedule here. I say schedule. They're like beyond starting. It's just how long do Jeff and I ramble? I ramble. Jeff be just dazed at my ramblings. Um, hey Trevor, how you doing? Okay, speaking of Matt rambling. So
Uh-oh. Here we go, folks.
yeah, okay. So today was a good day. I got to do a bike ride. I had to go into to work. Like I planned. I've been working so many weekends. Saturday just had to do some brief cleanup stuff. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take just the morning, take it easy, do a bike ride, and then get on with my day. Hey Texas, I was just talking about you, and throwing you off the one time I started shows early. And so I'm about to leave on this ride, and I get a call up, and apparently things aren't working on site. And it's like, well, I didn't do anything. Like I cleaned stuff up, but you know what? Let me come out. When something goes wrong, we all come together and we figure out who messed up. And the answer was me. I messed up, kind of. So
Oh,
when,
Matthew.
when I was cleaning up
Wow.
these wires, so imagine,
You cut the wrong wires?
no. So imagine you have this enclosure, and it is 3 feet wide, 3 feet tall, something like that. And inside, we section off into areas. So we have what's called Panduit. It's this little wire raceway, plastic, and you put your wires through it, and then you put the covers over it. And it makes it look all real nice and neat. They're gone. The covers are missing. So instead, I had to zip tie everything up so that it looks nice when you open it. Well, apparently, when I zip tied one of them up, one of the wires popped off its terminal, and that
Uh-oh.
one wire was the wire that said, "Hey, you're allowed to run this machine right now." Uh, so once I'm out there with my multimeter, I'm taking readings like where's the break happening, and I finally find it, screw it down, we're all good. Then afterwards, I was able to go on my bike ride, good time, no worries there. The problem is, you guys know how I've been having like weird chest issues going on, and ever
Mhm.
since my brother died, I wake up and I'll be in a panic attack basically because I'm sleeping
Right.
weird on my arm, and well, now I started to get some burning sensations too. So now I have pain across my chest. I have this intense burning feeling, and it comes and goes. Well, yesterday it came and did not go. Uh,
That's not good.
yeah, I spent all day with this weird pain going on and this burning sensation. So last night after dinner, I said, you know what? It's time to be smart and go to the hospital. So I went into the ER last night, and um, they hooked me up with that IV tube thing, which was misery. Like that was the worst part of the whole thing. They probably could have given me open heart surgery at that point, and my biggest complaint would have been that stupid IV tube that they shoved into my arm here, because once they like I could feel it in there the whole time, and they put the saline solution on, and it was freezing cold going into my, like, it's room temperature. Well, the good news is they did blood work, and I have none of the enzymes that you get with a heart attack. So
Thank
I
goodness.
I haven't been having heart attacks. My enzyme levels were 0. So it's like, not only are you not now having a heart attack, not only have you not had a heart attack, kind of recently, you've never, like, your heart's beautiful, okay? Like, calm down. So it, and then what was going on is, I'm having really bad reflux. Like,
Oh,
I was joking with my wife. I'm like, I have a baby disease. This is GERD. When you feed the baby and you lie them down and they get the reflux, I'm like, I'm just being a big baby about all this. But no, it's GERD. They think maybe I was having some ulcers developing too. And so what it turns out is that I guess I've been really stressing ever since my brother died from a heart attack. And like, I've always had bad sleep. I have constant night terrors. And I've just learned, I wake up, I'm panicking, I'm able to process where I am, I go back to sleep. And thankfully, after I got married, they dropped a lot. Like, I still have them, but they've dropped a lot. So like, I've never had good sleep in my life, really. And so I've been like, well, I'm having these panic attacks at night about my heart. But no big deal. This stuff happens. I go back to sleep. Life is fine. Apparently it hasn't been fine. Apparently I've been stressing a lot about it. So I'm hoping that this last round of tests, when I went into ER last night, will be the thing that really helps me. Like, hey, Matt, you've done the calcification test. Your arteries, they're not solidifying. You've done the scans. You have no blockages. You've done the blood work now. You're not having heart attacks. Like, it is 100% reflux, and it's 100% just tightness. So I've been doing some shoulder exercises or stretches now, and it's relieving that pain a lot. So yeah, crazy Sunday. It usually happens on a Monday. And yeah, Mr. Lindell, those IV things. I looked at, so I asked my mommy to go with me.
So basically, this all just got into your head, and you thought you were having problems, and the stress was causing maybe ulcers to form,
Yeah.
and that was causing the reflux.
Yeah, and the reflux was really the last straw. Like, the pain wasn't great, but I'm used to it. I've had that for years. But just the pain combined with my brother dying, and then
Sure.
and then, like I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, one of the kids in the youth group died, and like, apparently just all that really, it brought things to a head. And it was time to get this stuff checked out, and thankfully I did. And so now, last night was the best night's sleep I've gotten in I don't know how long. Yeah, it's true, Thomas. I should be doing more video games, and you know what? When I play them, I should stream them. Like, let's work on this.
Hey,
Let's make this a goal.
what a novel concept.
Yeah, because I got a backlog of games, and I'm like, you know what? I want to play a game, and I go, well, if I'm gonna play a game, I really should stream it, and so I don't do anything. So let's work on this, Thomas. And I think I'm gonna have a little bit of time here soon where I can actually sit down and do some stuff. So that'll be fun. And hey, Anna, glad you're with us today. Positive Candor, thanks for stopping in. Yeah, so I got the medicine. They gave me the Prilosec OTC. They said take this, and then they gave me something for if there's ulcers there developing, to get them to relax. So hopefully a couple of weeks, reflux will be gone. And then, shoulder stretches and the pain will be gone. And, just, there's
Things are getting better.
Yeah. And just having firm, definitive proof that I haven't been having heart attacks. Like, there's a lot to be said for that. Just calm down. Hey, truck reviewer, how you doing? Hey, you think games would be too much Matthew for the internet to handle? We should find out. We should find out.
For Thomas's sake, we should find out.
Yeah. So hey, let's have some fun here tonight.
Welcome, John.
And streaming Tetris on Easy Setting. Okay, so Omni, I love Tetris. On the Nintendo Switch, they had like an endless Tetris thing. I'm like, oh, that'll be fun. So let me jump on here, play some Tetris with people. I was decimated. Like, the people who play this game are just so far above me on ability. Like, I thought I was fairly decent at Tetris. These people, I was blown away. But if I do play Tetris, it's got to be the old school NES, the Russian soundtrack, OG Tetris. Well, not OG. This is actually, y'all don't care about the history of this. I'm not getting into it. Sorry. Even I can be like, you know what? Sometimes my rabbit trails, that's too far of a trail.
I never thought I would hear you say that, Matthew.
You know, I'm learning. I'm growing.
We're all glad for that.
There was a version of Tetris for the NES that predated what we got here in America. That's the long and short. I think it's actually for like a Commodore system or something.
I remember playing it on DOS back in the early 90s.
It is such a simplistic game that can become so complicated. Like, it's so easy to port it to whatever system you want.
Oh yeah, a lot of fun.
Oh, it's extremely fun. And yeah, Dr. Mario. There's an end game to Dr. Mario. I didn't know that. I thought you just played it till you lost. Like Tetris. So,
Josh Street, I don't know where that's coming from. I just don't understand. He says that I'm on the show.
Oh.
In Babylon 5. I don't see it.
Oh, wow. Okay, John's saying he remembers playing Tetris on his graphing calculator. Was that the TI-83? Because I know the 83. I don't know if you ever did this, Jeff, but schools in Texas when I was here in high school, they made you get a graphing calculator. Like, we used it 6 times throughout the school year, but you had to have it. And we would transfer games, or not we, I didn't have one. I wasn't rich enough for a TI-83. I got the Casio version. But you could transfer your games back and forth on the 83.
That was a little after my time in school. So
yes, Omni, transfer games with the like little speaker plug wire thing. Okay, so I'm stalling a little bit because last week I had predictions.
You did. And, I was looking through your predictions and I wasn't quite sure what your prediction actually was.
Me neither. It was all over the place.
It was.
Like, at one point I was saying, well, I think that Sinclair is departing, and I'm like, no, I think we'll have another couple episodes with him. I think it's going to be Dolores who's departing, but maybe not. It's been a while since I have had a prediction that just nowhere. I really channeled my inner politician and had 0 words of substance to say, despite saying hundreds of words to do it. So,
well, did you see the Babylon 5 TV guide prediction that I put into the San Antonio 9 channel?
Oh, I didn't. I closed out Discord. See here.
So I've been posting these Star Trek: The Next Generation posts. They're joke synopsis for an episode that didn't exist that somebody does on Twitter. And so I created my own for Babylon 5. And for this one, I said, while Franklin is performing surgery to save Garibaldi, Sinclair leads an investigation into President Santiago's death. Dolores transforms into a prophet, changes all good Minbari into prophets, and sets up a celestial temple just inside the jump gate.
That's a solid prediction. A lot better than what I got. And hey, Sci-Fi, how you doing? So yeah, my prediction is that things are going to happen, that we are going to see someone depart. Sinclair, we'll go Sinclair. That was one of my mini predictions. We're going to see Sinclair depart. Hopefully he departs with his lovely fiancée, because he got engaged last episode.
Catherine Sakai.
Yeah, we'll find out. So, just a quick recap. As we ended season 1, we had the discount Ron Sterling, who's working for the Shadow Spiders, and he came to Londo and he said, I understand you have a problem with the planet in Sector 37 with the Narn, and I can take care of it for you. And Londo's like, yes, please take care of it. Wonderful. Unfortunately, what it turned out is that their way of taking care of it was to kill like 10,000 Narn on this colony. And at the same time, you see that G'Kar and Londo are butting heads, and G'Kar has a couple good points to say. He mentions that yes, we're not abiding by the treaty, but at the same time, we were held at gunpoint to sign the treaty, and any treaty signed under duress is not a valid treaty, which I would certainly agree with. If you have a treaty that is only signed by holding a knife to the guy's throat, don't expect them to honor that. Like, once they come out of that position of weakness, of course they're going to hate the treaty. You got to have a fair and equitable thing that everyone can truly agree to. And so that's going on, and Sinclair comes and makes a plea to G'Kar, says, hey, originally you told me the Narn were agricultural, you're a peaceful society, you were only made to come to war because of the Centauri invading, and people understand that, but it's time to come back to peace. We're at a crossroads. And the episode ends with G'Kar saying, you know what, Sinclair, you're right, we were at a crossroads and I'm afraid we missed it. And I love that so much, because just the machinations that are going on behind the scenes, interfering with what you see would have normally in like Star Trek have been a plot line where, Picard makes a speech and then everyone comes to peace and yes, things are good now. And instead we get, Picard did his best. Everyone was ready to come to the table, but instead Londo is in abject just sorrow because he didn't want them killed. He's like, I thought you were going to, transport them off the planet or intimidate them. I didn't think you were going to kill 10,000 people. And so he's just horrendously horrified about what he has caused to happen, and the fact that he's now getting accolades for that from the Centauri homeworld.
Oh, he told him that he was going to take care of the problem personally.
Yeah. And he kind of did.
Well, yeah, sort of.
Am I sure it was in Sector 47? No, it may be that.
Quadrant 47, John. Quadrant
47. And then, so Londo, Rod Sterling says he's primed. He's going to fall in line for the Shadow Spiders. G'Kar has gone off to the homeworld to track things down because he said so. He works it through. And I love this moment with G'Kar. It's showing what an intelligent man he is. And instead of flying off the handle, he sits down and he thinks. And he's like, no, it couldn't have been the humans. It couldn't have been the Centauri. It couldn't have been the Vorlons. It couldn't have been the Minbari. It's certainly not any of these lesser racers. And he puts together that there's someone else out there. Racers.
They're racing around the track.
They are.
Around hyperspace.
but they're not that fast, so they couldn't have done it. Uh, the lesser races. Oh, there's a bad sentence.
Ooh,
Is that how he put
well,
it? I've said it now. The
yeah, it's on record.
Wow. Sorry. As soon as I said it, I heard how it sounded. It couldn't have been any of these races that are the unaffiliated ones.
I think he just said other races.
The other races. John ripped Matthew's channel.
Poor Matthew.
Poor Matthew. Anyway.
Sorry, we won't have a show anymore. Not after tonight. No more Babylon 5.
I mean, it was barely hanging in there after that Code of Honor favorite episode comment that keeps coming up.
Right.
That was just the last nail in the coffin, everyone.
And you have 27 people watching right now.
Wow. Thank you. I'm so appreciative. I'm glad you're here for season 1 or episode 1, season 2. So that's where he left things. Jakar's gone off. And of course, Dolores. She has gone into the cocoon.
She has.
Thank you, Miss Lindell. The unaligned worlds is the word I was looking for. Yes. And so everything changes. Everything's changed. And of course, Garibaldi is half dead on the operating table right now. He got shot by his subordinate in the back because that guy was part of a larger plot to kill. Wow. Here's the next sentence coming out of my mouth. That man was part of a larger plot to kill the president of Earth.
Right.
And get the vice president inaugurated. So, let's go and jump into this episode.
Going on.
And y'all guys know how this stuff works. I will right now put up, there we are, the clips. So once every 7 seconds, I'm going to have a clip from this week's episode. There will be no audio. This is just so if you are on somewhere where like you only got your phone or you only got one computer screen and you can't pull up the screening room, this gives you a reference for what we're talking about. Or what I should be talking about, but what I'm not because I've gotten sidetracked talking about Star Trek somehow. If you can, by all means, click on that link that I pinned in the chat. That'll take you to the screening room, and that just syncs up all of our watch times together so that you're plus or minus a couple seconds of where I am. And for tonight, we got something special. We're going to do the main episode that we're going to watch. We'll talk about it a little bit, and then we're going to do a short 5-minute episode, 5-minute interview, I think it is.
It is an interview, yes.
Oh, interview. So Jeff sent this to me, and we're gonna have fun watching that and seeing what it is. Because
Omnicast asked me to have it played, so we want to thank Omnicast for the interview.
Oh, thank you, Omnicast. So let me go ahead and give you a quick 3 count down, and then we can all hit the play button and be synced up more or less. So here we go. Excuse me. Sorry. 3, 2, 1. Hit that play button, everyone. Oh, okay. Agamemnon is a name I've actually been hearing a lot recently. Just one of those happenstance things. Because it was the name of a golem in a Discworld novel. And I forget the other place I heard it. But he was like an ancient messenger or something. He was something to do with the Greeks. Troy. That's what it was. He was one of the leaders in the Trojan War, and he had upset Poseidon or Athena or someone. And he was told that he had to sacrifice his daughter or else he was going to lose his men. And he was unwilling to do it. So he was trying to find a way to basically trick the gods to accept a false sacrifice. Like he tried killing pigs and stuff. So I wonder if they're going to try and actually tie that Greek mythology into...
It's Admiral Layton.
From Star Trek?
Yes. This is actually General Haig.
Okay, so, and this was kind of a plot point that they've talked about in the past, that there are elements in the Imbari culture, the warrior class, who are unhappy with the peace that we have with humans, or they have with humans. That they know they were about to wipe the floor with us, and they don't appreciate the fact that they were forced to stand down. Yes, the cast. Sorry, the warrior cast. Okay, I do know the voice, but I can't place what episode he was in.
Uh, he was in Deep Space Nine, Paradise Lost.
Okay.
He tries to have a coup on Earth, just basically take over Starfleet because of the changeling threat.
Okay, so Sinclair's already departed.
He's been sent back to Earth.
I like that cut. Everyone yelling at Ivanova at the top of the turbo lift.
And John's right. He also played Veloz in Enterprise.
Tom is saying, why when on Babylon 5 someone is communicating with the captain, it's on multiple screens?
Why not?
They have a dual monitor setup. In Star Trek, you only get the one monitor. It's a government operation, you know. Okay, so Ivanova's in charge, but she hasn't mentioned Garibaldi yet.
They just showed him in MedLab.
Okay.
Basically still in a coma.
Dun dun dun. So Sinclair, he's out. And this a different intro.
Yes, each season has its own intro. Now, this first episode, this is Bruce Boxleitner reciting this. He didn't have these graphics to look at, so he didn't know quite how to say the words. They redid them in episode 2, and it's much better.
Okay. Even without the graphics, you'd think that he would be able to like look at season 1's tapes. I do like the 5 wipe they're doing though.
Yeah, that's nice.
Okay, so at one point in season 1, like toward the end of the season, they make a joke about Italia makes a joke about how Garibaldi is always waiting for her in the turbo lift. And Sinclair's like, "Oh, come on, don't be so ridiculous." And then the doors open and there's Garibaldi.
Right.
Was that like a tongue-in-cheek reference to how often they did a scene change and Garibaldi met them in the turbo lift? Or was that supposed to be he actually paid attention to where she was going?
He was actually paying attention, and Jerry Doyle asked to have that put in because the two of them were in a relationship at the time in real life.
Okay. Because Voyager did something similar where Kate Mulgrew was constantly doing the Superman pose, you know, hands on the hip sort of stuff.
Right.
And so in one of the season 2 or season 3 episodes, they had a line where she offended someone by putting her hands on her hips.
Yes, I remember.
And that was a, kind of a nod and a wink to everyone. Like, hey, we get it. She does this too much. We're going to back off now. I miss where Sinclair
No,
went. Joel is saying.
I
Just
think
has
you
been
did.
reassigned.
He is now the ambassador to Minbar.
Oh.
And Josh Street, I believe they did get a bigger budget starting in season 2. I also think that they filmed it much better starting in season 2.
Hmm. And this is the new commander or captain.
Yes. Captain Sheridan. John Sheridan. It's funny. John Sheridan, Jeffrey Sinclair, J.S. And of course, the showrunner and creator of the Babylon 5 is J. Michael Straczynski, J.M.S.
Joel is
And
saying
Joel
Captain
says,
Tron.
yes, he was in Tron.
Was he Tron? Or was he just a character in Tron?
I think he did play the title character, didn't he? It's been a while since I've seen the show.
He's not covered head to toe in reflective tape, so I'm not too sure. I can't recognize him without the glow,
Texas says yes, he was. And of course, Peter Jurassic, who plays Londo, was also in Tron.
What?
Yeah.
What? I'm gonna have to watch this again. It's one of those things I've been kind of stalling so I can watch it with my oldest because he's right at that age where he'd enjoy it. And from what I recall, it wasn't the original Tron wasn't exactly like too old and appropriate.
He was also Scarecrow in Scarecrow and Mrs. King
Oh,
TV show.
okay. So they're doing kind of a recap for us.
Yeah, they are.
Which is
Some
nice.
people claim you could almost start at season 2. I don't advise it though. There's so much setup in season 1 to skip it.
Yeah. I mean, I understand why they're doing this. Before the age of digital streaming and on demand viewing, it had been several months between season 1 and season 2. They were doing a major overhaul here. You needed an episode like this to kind of reset people's memories.
I agree, LDG. Season 1 was great.
Oh, yeah.
It just gets better though.
So that exchange just kind of implied they knew each other before this.
They did, yeah. When she was talking to General Haig, they talked that she knew him.
Hmm. And yeah, we talked about this maybe just last week, but the Imbari are supposed to be required to approve whoever gets put in the captain's position here or command
I think
position.
they're a little too busy to worry about that right now.
And I do like while they have touched on the upheaval that's going on right now, we're not really picking up where last season stopped.
It's about a week after.
But I mean, like, we're not picking up at the energy level.
Okay.
Like with Best of Both Worlds, we pick up and
Well,
boom, stakes are super high still.
well, that was a direct continuation. This is a week or so later.
Yeah, but even
So
with that, it's like, hey, yeah, the presidency's changed, and that's life. Okay. The biggest kind of direct continuation of that is just the narration they did, talking about how, you know, it's been 5 days and things are extremely hectic right now.
Trek reviewer, we have watched The Gathering, but we have not seen In the Beginning. We'll probably watch that after season 4.
And Thomas is saying it says January 8th in the beginning,
It did.
which I guess technically that's more than 5 days, because I want to say it was December 31st when the president died.
Right. Oh, we saw it hit midnight.
I'm sorry. They didn't say it was 5 days since the president died. She said it was 5 days since Sinclair left, was recalled to Earth.
Right. And Texas is right. All the seasons begin in January and end in December.
Oh.
So each season is a calendar year.
Wolverine here.
Right?
So Trelane here, the guy that's with the Wolverine claws, is saying that the Grey Council has betrayed them.
Actually, it's Kalain.
Helene. So I kind of feel like this is a bit of a plot point that we're going to be seeing all season. The upheaval in the Mbari culture. It looks like they're sowing the seeds for a civil war. Or at least civil unrest.
We'll have to wait and see, Matthew.
Good old Dr. Franklin.
Indeed.
Great acting by Jerry Doyle, laying there like a pro.
Josh Street, we're still talking about Crusade. We're going to watch at least most of the TV movies.
Okay, nice line from Ivanova. She says, I'll say a prayer for Garibaldi tonight. And Franklin says, well, he's agnostic. And she goes, okay, well, I'll do half a prayer. Which I like because it's calling out the fact that she is Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I forget. It's Russian Jewish. Something with an A. There's a name for them, for the group. Regardless, so it's calling to mind like, hey, remember, she actually does have this background, and at the same time, it gives her a moment to have a funny little quip.
Continuity on the show is very good.
Not a great speech that starts talking about carrots. Trek reviewer is saying at least Jerry Doyle got more to cover his body here than LeVar Burton got in the TNG episode Parallels.
That's true.
Who's the guy out of uniform in the white shirt?
He's just a dome tech. I don't think he got named.
He said, CNC, this is security. I didn't know Abraham Lincoln made that part of his speech. Thomas, Strange New Worlds would have made her Muslim in season 2 with how bad they are with continuity.
Probably Thomas. Yeah, I mean, she's delivering those lines so smooth.
Oh, you should just let him leave. Poor man.
Yeah, I should have.
Texas saying it's a speech Lincoln gave shortly after the Battle of
Antietam.
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 Don't mess with Bane. Uh-oh. It stopped on me.
Did it stop for anyone else?
Did it stop for you, Matthew?
It's still going for me.
Oh. Okay, it's going for me again.
Okay. Okay, so I do like that they're setting him up, the new captain up, as a more military-minded man. Sinclair, he had all the military background, but he definitely had very much the mindset of, I'm going to be an ambassador now, and he was looking for that ambassador angle.
Very diplomatic.
This one quick exchange they're giving this new captain, I feel like they're showing that he is more military minded. Like immediately when he was hearing about this Kalane person, he knew that he was going to be second command of this specific battleship in the Mbaris, whose captain had committed suicide instead of surrendering. Yeah, now he's definitely being more militaristic, confrontational here. Like, nope, times have changed. Earth president feels that it's time for the Mbari not to have so much control over what's effectively an Earth outpost. I was about to ask, so did he take this entire starship out? But yes, they just he used the Picard maneuver. It must be it. Open a jump gate, appear in two places at once. But no, he just mined the asteroid field between Jupiter and Mars. Fusion bomb doesn't have to be that accurate. And he says it's the only victory we basically had in the entire war, and I'm not about to apologize for it.
Right. Minbari thought it was underhanded how he did it.
And I love that he still has the karate aspect to him, his character. But I like how the captain got to the right answer, but he did it from, instead of knowing about how people think, he thought about it militaristically. Like, what's the strategy situation right now? Where'd you go? Oh, you'd go after the person you thought was responsible the most for betraying people. You'd go after Dolores.
Right.
And I finally get the joke where you were always saying danger, Will Robinson Omni. Now that we had the episode where I found out that he was the boy from Lost in Space.
That's it.
And I say this every time. I love how much they did for the costume design, specifically for the Mbari, to bring about this idea of the Japanese feudalism.
Yeah, it does resemble that, doesn't it?
And just how much he kind of leaned into those stereotypes. Like his first and his not first his commander committed basically seppuku rather than surrender. And that was such an issue that the Americans had during the war, World War II, as we did the island hopping. The Japanese would fight to the last man. Like, there was no surrender. It was so hard to move forward because of that. And great question. You know, he took, after the death of his commander, he took control of an Mbari war cruiser. But where is it? If he's here, where's your ship? Yeah, Omni, he's lardering up. Hey, Fran. Welcome to the stream.
Welcome, Fran. So this next scene is very important. We get a lot of exposition.
Okay, sorry if I don't comment much. So the Great Council came to see the final victory. And Dolores specifically wanted us to bring one of them aboard. To learn more about them, to know about their world.
Yes, Omni, they're using you.
And just when they decide that, Sinclair shows up. He's ready to do his kamikaze run.
Right.
And it was the first time that the Great Council ever had direct contact with a human. And so they tortured and they scanned him, and there's something they discovered. Something that's true, but we don't know what it is. It's okay. The Minbari believe that when they die, they reincarnate into the next generation, which is something that came up during the Deathwalker episode.
Yes.
And they're commenting that it just seems like at each generation isn't as great as the one before. As if some of the souls are disappearing. And apparently they believe that Minbari souls are being reborn as human. And so they stopped the war to avoid harming their own souls. But the council knew that it would unravel their society to know that the Minbari souls are being born as humans. Huh. Huh. An interesting take on the secret. This thing, Commander Sinclair was the first, but there's going to be more. The first to make this connection. The first to be discovered. Yeah, Thomas, I actually remembered something.
It does happen once in a while, Thomas. Now, I don't know if you noticed, this is a new character that was in the opening credits. Warren Kiefer is his name.
No, I tried not to pay too hard to the attention to the intro when I was grabbing guest star names. Those fake teeth every time. Oh. I'm sure that blue paste is, just like a nutritional aid.
Yeah, it's harmless.
Okay. Okay. So his second command here is talking about how they've illegally arrested and detained their captain. I wonder if he is taking a cyanide pill, basically, just to provoke a war to happen here. Because now they're going to go, oh, you didn't just arrest him and detain him. You murdered him when he was in your captivity. It seems like one of those things that would spark a war. And they're saying the war has already begun. The only thing that remains now is honor and death.
I don't know if you noticed, the Babcom logo is gone. It's now called Stellarcom.
Oh, I hadn't noticed.
Welcome,
Hey,
Tokyo.
Tokyo.
Omni, apparently J.M.S. hated the Babcom logo and got rid of it.
Huh. Yeah, there we go. I may not be able to get the episode predictions right, but I at least can figure out where we're going in the episode. Excuse me. Okay, now a sentence he made a second ago was about some ship that's in the area, and Ivanova goes, "Wait, what are you talking about?" And he says, "Sorry, I can't tell you, but I'll explain everything in a minute." And I don't think that we know what he's talking about yet. Well, we being the audience at this time, not you, Jeff. You know what he's talking about.
If you were paying attention, you would know.
Okay.
It was briefly mentioned early in the episode.
Okay.
Yes, yes, Thomas, it's the Enterprise. Good job.
Sorry, guys. The new captain has some sort of plan brewing. He's telling all his people to hold tight and not do anything. So he's going to try and do a tight beam communication such that the Embari warship, the Dragardi, can't intercept it, but he's trying to get some message out. And I, I suspect that he's working out that the Embari are acting alone in this regard, and he doesn't want to attack them because by attacking them or fighting them, it would prompt a war with Embari. That by doing nothing, they are not going to be able to provoke the war that they want.
Very good, Matthew. Very good.
And sure enough, there's another Embari warship. So he knew that there was another Embari ship looking for the Dragati, but since no one has seen it, he figured that it was hiding in hyperspace. So he sent the message to them. So they were reinforcements, but they were basically reinforcements for Babylon 5.
Yep. You got it. In a way.
Ah, nice. All right, so he's pointing out that we were never, ever able to break the Mbari tech that prevented us from being able to lock onto their ships. And yet, all of a sudden, we were able to do it? It's like, no, there was something up. He's saying they can't surrender with honor. They can't fight without a war. So by forcing us to attack, they'll die at human hands, become martyrs, and spark the war. Especially because he is known as the Mbari killer, the Star Killer guy.
Star Killer. Yep.
He's like, the guy says, "So should we open fire?" He goes, "No, we'll let the Mbari deal with this." I'd get out of there. They're gonna go critical. Yeah, a code of honor on me. It's like a cloak. That's not the voice I was expecting to come from that man's mouth. But unfortunately, the Mbari captain, he's not very appreciative at all. He says, well, the crew of the Dragati were seen as heroes to many people still.
That's
And
true, Josh. They already remember his name.
that's a different door chime.
They did change the chime, yes.
I'm keeping the original.
I don't blame you.
I get so many comments about it now. It's my text message notification. And people are like, what is that? I'm like, it's a door chime from Babylon 5. And it is not, you don't miss it. Like, I was disappointed in Texas, yeah. And Starkiller he's concerned. He says, I don't think the incident with the Dragati would have even happened if I hadn't been here. You know, what trouble am I bringing to Babylon 5? And now he's concerned that some quip the Mbari that he suspects was on the Grey Council and was. He made a comment that if there's doom on this station, it's doom that you brought here. Which, I mean, that's the thing. You can't justify the violence of others by saying, well, it's my fault that they're violent. No, everyone gets the choice of choosing peace. And
Sure.
it's one thing to be like, hey, I am being punched senseless and I'm about to die, and therefore I defend myself. Versus, hey, we are in a state of peace. We could talk, and I'm going to choose to be the aggressor because you, at some point in the past, did some other aggression. Like, you can't justify violence through that way. Okay, so he he's saying he's giving us a lot of exposition right here. Uh, but the prophecy that was given was that both species, both sides of our souls, must come together. The Mbari and the humans who now are the Mbari um, reincarnations need to come together, and that's the only way they're going to be able to stop the darkness. And it's a prophecy that Delenn still believes in. And there we see her cocoon. Sorry, Dolores still believes in. And then we saw her cocoon starting to crack open and some fluid coming out.
Josh Street, time will tell. It always does.
So Kiefer's comment there, I don't know, it just sounded like Bashir's the running gag. You know, I mistook a post-ganglionic nerve for a, and how that was always his pickup line for some reason. He's trying to to give his good luck speech. He's going back to the Abraham Lincoln speech.
Right.
He started 20 minutes ago, and for some reason that really tickled Ivanova, which shift change is what I'm guessing. Probably an empty room. And Josh is saying, this always rubbed me the wrong way, the way the new guy being buddy-buddy with the main cast in the first episode of the season when he was new to the station. John, I appreciate the commitment to giving a good speech.
Right? And you're right, Joel. Sheridan and Ivanova already knew each other.
Well, I think he's talking about Kiefer.
Oh, Kiefer?
Yeah, the way Kiefer is just like, hey, Franklin,
Well,
Ivanova.
He may have been there. I mean, like Chekhov on the first season of TOS. You know, he might have been there. We just didn't see him.
He was in the bathroom during every emergency. Craziest
exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna pause. So if it's looping for you, just hit the pause button or something. It shouldn't loop. It should pause for everyone, I think.
It paused for me.
Okay, good. So you wanted to talk a little bit about this next.
So we're gonna have a 4.5 minute little clip here that Omnicast actually asked for us to play. I did a little small edit to it, and it's because there's a spoiler in there that I excised from the clip. Initially, when season 2 started, J. Michael Straczynski, the showrunner, the creator of Babylon 5, he gave a reason for Michael Hare, who played Sinclair, why he exited the series. And he basically said that Sinclair was turning into a character that was too good at solving problems. So he decided that he needed to get rid of the character to shake things up, allow other characters to shine, and get their place in the show where they could solve the problems also. So he got rid of Sinclair and brought in Sheridan. That wasn't the real reason. So we're going to play a little clip on what that real reason was.
Okay. So before I hit play,
man,
I do remember you talking about some behind the scenes stuff going on with the actor who played Sinclair's health.
Michael Hare. Yes. Yes,
So,
and this was not revealed until later. So if you want to go ahead and play that clip.
Yeah, so I'm gonna hit play. And unfortunately, this is only gonna be screen room, guys. I can't show it here on YouTube. I'm gonna assume that would be like a big no-no. So if you want to watch this, jump to the screen room. Otherwise, afterwards, I'll tell you the name of the interview. You can try and find it, Google around or something. So I'm gonna go ahead and start this interview up. Hey. Is this J.M.S?
J. Michael Straczynski? Yes.
And so he's saying there were things he was noticing, and the person who played Sinclair, he's a good actor, a good person, but there are just things he was starting to notice. And he began to manifest symptoms of psychosis. He thought the FBI was following him. And he's saying, I didn't know what to do. I could see he was heading for a psychotic break. Yeah, yeah. He's aware that if he told Warner's about it, the Warner Brothers, that they would have pulled the plug on the show. And he apparently went to Sinclair and
O'Hara.
said, I can't force you to do what you need to do, but what I can do is put you in a position where you can go get the help you need. And Sinclair said, no, please don't do that. Please don't do that. And apparently he held on by his fingernail throughout the first season. And J.M.S. was ready to pull the trigger, and he warned him ahead of time, like, if this goes in the red, I'm gonna pull the plug on this. Yes, your O'Hare. Oh, that's so nice of him. He was saying that he told O'Hare that he'd continue to pay for the rent. Whatever you need, you go get the help you need. And he spent the next year helping him out while they brought on Sheridan to play that role. And now we're skipping ahead to 96. Oh. So J.M.S. he was willing to keep the secret to his grave, but O'Hare said no, just keep it to my grave. I want people to know this once I'm gone, so that they can go and get the help they need to. So if anything ever happens to me, I want you to be free to talk about this. When the time passes, he gets married, has a kid, and then he got off the meds, and he fell hard. Ended up in a halfway house under medication, and then passed away in September 28th, 2012. And Joel is saying the rest of the cast didn't know either. They just found him difficult to work with.
They did.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah.
Very, very tragic.
Very tragic, and uh, definitely go get the help you need, be it physical or mental. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, that's honestly why I finally went into the E.R. yesterday. I'm like, this is I'm being dumb. Like I and Amy said this too. Amy's like, I'm not concerned about you going mad. Like go do this. Let's get some peace of mind. I don't think anything's wrong. But like I knew I was getting to the point where this was overwhelming me, and I needed to be smart and like what if it turned out I was having lots of little tiny little heart attacks? One of these days, Amy would find me cold in the bed next to her, and I could have prevented it the whole time just by going and getting it checked out. So I'm real glad I went in, and absolutely recommend. Like if you think there's a health issue, don't turn a blind eye to it. One of my other family members on Amy's side uh, suspected for a long time she had cancer and refused to go get treated, refused to get an official diagnosis. She said, no, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. And it's horrible because if she had just gone in when she first started to have suspicions, she had one of the most easily treatable cancers. And she would be alive today if she had just gone and done a quick, spend an hour of your life, get things checked out.
So sad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was. and, and here for O'Hare, just to man to be in a place where you're on the medication, you got things worked out, and just for some reason you go, you know what, I don't need to do this anymore. And he did. He needed it. He fell hard. And did J.M.S say he died because he was off his meds, or just he went off his meds and never quite recovered and then died?
He had a heart attack.
Heart attack. Would that be related to psychosis?
I imagine it could be. Especially if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not taking your medication, you're not eating properly, you're not sleeping right, the stress builds up. Yeah, I imagine it could lead to a heart attack.
Yeah. Thomas, at least Amy would have some peace and quiet for a few hours. Yeah. All right, so
and Texas is right. Time has not been kind to this cast at all. We've lost several of the cast members.
So, transition here. Season 2, episode 1. Jeff, what did you think?
It was a nice recap of the show. Get you up to speed if you maybe had missed some episodes in the first season. Brought a new energy to the show. Got a new show star of the show. I think the budget was bigger. I think you saw more background characters. I think it was shot better. I think they improved the CGI somewhat. It was very well done. I think Ivanova's character got a bigger role here. And as you're going to find out, we're going to get more and more of Ivanova as the show goes, and her character really develops. And I think it starts right here. We get a couple new we get another new character in Kiefer, and Omni says he's what did you say, Omni? He's influential or something. We'll find out if he is or not. Also, I don't know if you noticed in the opening credits, we didn't see her character in this episode, but the actress that plays Natoth is new.
Oh.
She was originally played by Caitlin Brown, and the new actress is Mary Kay Adams.
You know, I did notice the new name, but I didn't make the connection of the change for Natoth.
Yeah.
During a second,
like I said, we didn't. Like I said, we didn't see her in this episode, but we do have a new actress playing the role, which I think is interesting. They didn't replace the character with a new character in this case. They just replaced the actress.
And when you're under that much prosthetics, you can get away with some stuff like that.
I suppose you can. I
mean, there's a certain extent that you can do it. Like it's not foolproof.
We also get callbacks to both Soul Hunter as well as with the Minbari souls. They're so protective of their souls. They think the Soul Hunters are evil for stealing the souls. Saw Dolores letting the souls that he had captured in that episode escape, which was kind of neat. So we get a callback to that, and we get a lot of exposition from Lanier, and I love Lanier. Lanier's a great character, and I think his character starts to develop more and more in this season as well. So it's a good start for him. I think this is a good episode to get the season rolling. We get a recap of season 1, and if you pay attention to the opening credits, you kind of see where we're going in this season. We're getting a little teaser. Sheridan in the opening quote, he said, "The year of the Great War came upon us all."
He did.
I don't know if you noticed that or not. So, kind of foreshadowing there.
It, I mean, I talked about it as it was going on here, but this episode has really done a good job of taking season one, where we had all this background stuff building up. I mean, it wasn't all just creating the background. We talked about this last week, that season one did an excellent job of letting you know about everyone, while at the same time having stuff. They did it by having stuff happen to them. And you saw how they reacted to stuff, and therefore you got to know who they were. And this episode takes everything that we learned about people, and I really like how it bridges it. And how it says, yes, you know what, there is this vice president becoming president stuff that happened, and you just keep that in mind. Like, we'll talk about it. We're not going to address that right now, but it's there.
Well, we have so much going on. I mean, we even, we didn't even touch Jakar and his quest going back to his homeworld, Narn.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even talk about that. And we barely saw Garibaldi in this episode.
Yeah.
So his life is still in the balance. We didn't see Sinclair exactly leave. We know he left. We know where he is, but we really didn't see that happen.
I mean,
so a lot going on.
I do know, or have confidence, that Garibaldi's coming back simply by virtue of one, he's in the opening credits. Kind of a dead giveaway there. Like his actual name there. But two, the opening credits ends with Garibaldi, Ivanova, and Starkiller all there in the window.
That's true.
Like, what's his actual name? I know it's not Sinclair.
Sheridan.
I'll get
John Sheridan.
So Sheridan there in the window. One of the things I do like, and this is hard to do, with you calling out how Ivanova got more moments to shine, especially in this episode, and just how on the surface they talked about wanting to make this more of an ensemble cast and not just, hey, how is Sinclair going to do it with minor support from Franklin, from Garibaldi, from Ivan, whoever, into a true, let's see how these different characters operate. That's real hard to do, and I like that we're headed that way.
I think J.M.S. just made that up about Sinclair, just as an excuse for Sinclair leaving the show, because he couldn't reveal why O'Hare actually left, so he came up with something.
But is it also true that they did make it more of an ensemble show from this point on, or did they just kind of do
it? Yeah, I think it does become more ensemble, but I think it was an ensemble show already. Maybe not to the same level as we get later on, but
because in what's the show, Andromeda, which wonderful series, if y'all haven't seen it before, highly recommend it. Hercules in space. It stars Kevin Sorbo, and one of the things that happened around the second, or I think it's the end of the second season, the original show writers were kicked out, and the new people who came in made it all about Kevin Sorbo's character. And so it went from being this ensemble show with lots of different things happening, and you get a look at each one, and each character is growing, into really being just Kevin Sorbo. It's 100% the different direction than what it looks like Babylon 5 is going to do.
Captain Dylan Hunt,
yes.
I recall.
And it was decent from then on, but it certainly wasn't amazing. Like, it wasn't as amazing as the first few seasons were. And so I really appreciate any time a sci-fi show takes the time to make it an ensemble show instead of a main character with some background supporting characters each week. Because it's hard. It's real. I mean, look at New Trek. You had the Michael Burnham.
Do we
show.
have to?
Think about it. Don't let you look at it. Think about it. Michael Burnham. It was 100% her show to succeed or fail. And when you don't have
did it fail.
It did. Because, in a lot of ways, when you make it all about one person, if that one person isn't really compelling, then it's not fun to watch. And they didn't write her compelling. Like, she was punished, but she was punished for being right. Every time she encountered a hurdle, it wasn't because she was wrong. It was because the powers that be around her were wrong and punished her for it. And that's not something people can really relate to, you know? I can go, oh yeah, there was this one time in my life where I was right and everyone was wrong, and oh yeah, I identify with that. That works for one episode. But when that's your whole thing over and over again, and each episode is like, oh, and by the way, I'm not only the best engineer, I'm not only the best captain, I'm also the best pilot, I'm also the best physicist, I'm also the best everything. It's like, okay, come on, I can't keep up with you anymore. Like, this is exhausting. So it's really
John
hard.
says he says he never got the impression that Sinclair was dominating the show in season 1.
I wouldn't call it
I tend to agree.
dominating.
I would tend to agree with you, John.
Sorry, I'm not trying to give the impression of dominating. I'm saying, like, it feels like it was by no means to the extent of Strange New Worlds, but it seems like it was mostly him doing stuff, and then people, like, he was definitely the main character of the 3 to 4 main characters you had. He was the most main character.
I would agree with you on that. Although there were some episodes that he did hardly anything.
True. And to Babylon's 5 credit. And so the more diversity we get, like, I just feel like it leads to better stories, because you can't have one character who, like, has all the backstories. But if you have lots of characters, then we got to have this stuff, like in season 1 where we meet this person from this guy from this person's past. Now you can meet this girl from this person's past, and she married a guy named Franz. I mean, and so it opens up the door to so many more stories and so much more engagement, and I love to see that. Thomas, did I miss your question? Oh, what are they going to do with the future we saw in Babylon Squared? That is a good question.
That's a good question. So I'm going to assume that some point we get to see Sinclair. It's possible that they do something hand wavy where they say, we were headed down this path. This person chose this thing at this crucial juncture in time, and now we diverged into this pathway instead. Maybe they do something like that. I'm going to hold out some hope that we actually have a moment where Sinclair comes back and we have the exchange there with Garibaldi, and we get to see him make some choices. I think that'd be really, really fun, and I really hope we get to see him make a cameo 1 or 2 more times. Well, as I told somebody in the chat earlier, time will tell. It always does. We'll get there eventually, maybe in 10 years or so.
So all in all, this was a great episode, and I appreciated the way they referenced things that have happened, just like, hey, keep it in mind. And at the same time, they said it in the intro about when the Great War happened, but I like how right here we're seeing the underpinnings of what's going on in the Imbari culture right now. So I got that random hiccup burps. It's the worst. It doesn't know which way it's going.
TMI.
Sorry. The lungs are like, we're doing something. We don't know what's going on yet. So anyway, the only thing worse is the hiccup cough, and then your lungs just like one lung is coughing, one lung is hiccuping in. It's a mess. You get a tornado in the throat.
Now, some people complained about the last scene where Sheridan was given the speech on the deck of CNC, and there was no one there.
Okay.
That actually goes back to the very first episode of the show, the very first episode of season 1, I should say. It's called standby mode, and this happens about every 36 hours where CNC just basically shuts down and all the equipment does repairs and does backups and that sort of thing. So the equipment there really isn't working. Now there are other people, there are people stationed elsewhere just in case something happens. They can run things from another location, but some people just did not like the concept of CNC shutting down, that there would be no one on duty there for an hour. But it actually goes back to that first episode. We actually hear about standby mode in Midnight on the Firing Line.
Hmm. I mean, okay, one, great callback. Two, I do get the hang up where, like, really? For an hour? I, 1 out of every 36 hours, your station's down? I get it. That's like, it should
Thomas says
be,
Harry Kim is in charge of that shift.
like, there should be something going on. Like, oh, well, we have this,
They have
backup
auxiliary
bridge.
control
Yeah.
somewhere. I don't think we ever see it, but
But good callback nonetheless. I also like how we saw in this episode the difference between characters. So instead of getting rid of Sinclair and bringing in Sinclair 2.0, which, they could have tried to do. They could have tried to say, well, we're switching out one diplomatic kind of person for another diplomatic type person. Instead, they just said, no, this is a new captain, new personality. This is what this guy's all about. He's also military, but instead of going from military into more of a diplomatic mindset, he is military through and through. And I appreciate that.
I listened to a podcast about Babylon 5. They're doing reviews kind of like we are, only they're not doing a watch party.
Mm-hmm.
And they have, it's about, I'd say about 10 people. Half of them have seen the show all the way through before, half of them haven't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing how many of the new watchers on this podcast think that Sheridan actually is Sinclair 2.0, that they don't see much of a change between the two. But you on the other hand, and I agree with you completely, there is a big difference between the two characters.
I mean, we'll see if I change a little bit over time, but just the way he discusses things is very different. Like Sinclair, let's see if I can put this into words on the spot. Sinclair would have been talking to various people. He would have been talking to diplomats, and so he would have come to his thought, his conclusion by understanding the nature of the individual. Whereas Sheridan, he had the confrontation with the Grey Council guy, but his thought process was more military. Like, hey, from a military standpoint, what's going on here? Like, why did this happen? From a military standpoint, wait, we don't want to take the first shot. This doesn't make sense. We're suddenly able to lock on to the ships. We shouldn't be able to lock onto ships. Whoa, wait a minute. Kalen killed himself. Okay, hold up, everyone. Let's think about the bigger strategic picture here. And so I can see right away that they're definitely, like, they come to the same conclusion. We still get victory in the end. I mean, I don't know what you want on that front. You're not going to write a sci-fi show where every week your main character loses.
Right.
But the way he comes to the same understanding is approaching it from two different vectors. And maybe I'm wrong. We'll find out.
No, I think you're right on target there. Good job, Matthew.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Got to give you kudos when you've earned it.
And I keep talking about how much I enjoy the Japanese culture being written into the Mbari individuals. Or are these stereotypes of Japanese culture being worked in. Just those big points like, hey, everyone knows this aspect about the culture. And I can work with that. Because I personally don't find that offensive. Like if they're doing a TV show and you have an American and like, hey, we're just gonna have them be overweight and a lot of patriotism, a lot of guns. I'm like, yeah, okay. It's stereotypes. Not everyone in America is like that, but there's enough truisms in there where anyone watching it knows these facts about Americans. I'd like to see more of that for the other races. Like I'm not entirely sure who, like the Narn, like what culture is the Narn spoofing? What culture are the Centauri spoofing?
Well, for the Centauri, I get a very Roman Empire feel myself.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Kind of in
Maybe
in the
I'm wrong about
decline.
that, but right?
Sure. I want to say early on one of the reviews, I associated the Narn with Germany. Kind
Okay.
of. I want to say that's what I went. Um, I don't
I
think
don't
that's the case
recall.
anymore. Like
Well, we have learned that they were an Aquarian culture, and then they got conquered by the Centauri, and now they're
mhm.
warlike.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't describe that as the Germans.
Oh,
I'm not sure who I could put that to. And yeah, maybe the Centauri being French. Thomas is saying I could see that a little bit.
Thomas says their clothing is more French-like. Could maybe see that, Thomas.
Yeah, Texas. Most Texans will happily play up to their stereotypes. Absolutely. And yeah, I mean the French royal court feel for the Centauri, kind of the bourgeoisie, bourgeoisie.
And Joe Miller agrees with me about the Centauri being like the Roman Empire.
So the point is, I hope to see more of that. Uh, the the Nimbari are just so easy to pick out because their warrior cast literally has samurai pads. I mean,
Yeah, you can see that. Yeah, it's pretty
yeah,
obvious.
their priest cast has the quasi kimono type robing. So I mean, it's very obvious. And I guess yeah, the Centauri feel Roman, Frenchish. You can see a lot of different stuff going on there, but I want to see more of it.
Oh,
So
and we will. We
I
definitely
feel
will.
I feel like he had people in mind when he wrote this. I feel like he had nations in mind when he wrote the different races.
I'm sure he did. But what about the Vorlons? What are they?
No, I don't know.
I don't think anybody knows.
We definitely haven't seen enough of them to know. Josh wants to know, don't we find out later whether Narn were so easily conquered by the Centauri? I thought it was precisely because the Narn were agricultural and the Centauri were very
I think,
expansionist.
Josh, I think there is a little bit of an explanation of that. I don't want to give anything away, so that's all I'm going to say.
Like, I
And
guess
Joel says the Vorlons are Lovecraft ancient ones.
I guess kind of my thought on the Centauri slash Narn is what if when Cochrane made his first warp flight, what if the Vulcans had come in to conquer instead of to help? And I kind of feel like that was the technology disparity that existed at the time between the Narn and the Centauri.
Well, that could, yeah, I could see that working. Omni says Vorlons are walking jukeboxes. Well, they do kind of give off a musical tone, don't they?
They do. Excuse me. Well, with that yawn, let's go ahead. Let's go and wrap this up. I am unfortunately very behind on sleep. I more so than I really realized until last night. So I'm gonna take some medicine. I'm gonna go to bed, and hopefully I'm gonna
Any
sleep
any
quite well.
any
Oh
predictions
yes,
about Revelations is the next
Revelations.
episode?
Oh gosh, they are not making this easy for me this season, are they? Okay, so
Last couple have been tough for you.
they have. So Revelation, we're new into a season. We just had some big revelations from
Lanier.
Lanier. I almost said Veneer. I'm like, that is so not what his name is, man.
No.
From Lanier. From Lanier. Um, we've had big revelations about how humanity is the reincarnations of the Mbari, that the Mbari race is shrinking. I'm pretty sure that's what he was saying, that the population is decreasing actively right now. Each generation is less than the previous one.
Yeah, that's kind of what I got out of that too.
Uh, so Revelations, you know what? I'm gonna say that Jakar comes back in the next episode, and he is going to come with revelations about maybe what he suspects with the shadow spiders. And at the same time, I maybe Delin is going to leave her cocoon. I mean, the fact that it's kind of started to hatch already. I mean, how long are they going to drag out her hatching? Could be a while.
Who is that? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, Dolores. I'm sorry. Sometimes I get her name wrong.
I know it's easy to do.
So I can see Dolores completely hatching at the end of the episode, and that sets up kind of the plot point. That said, when we saw Dolores in the opening credits, she did not look that radically different. So
No,
I have a big question about what the point of the cocoon was and how she has changed. And I also have a big question if something has interrupted the process. So instead of changing, it was forced to end, and that's going to have repercussions. I got questions. Yeah, maybe she gets a new accent. We'll find out. So Revelations.
I'm typing all this down. So
the main thought here, main takeaway: Revelations. Jakar comes back, and he has some thoughts about the shadow spiders and how it's affecting the quadrant at large. And I think that overall, the theme of this season is going to be focused on the environment. Well, I say the theme. Babylon 5 has like 20 themes running at once. But I think one of the main plot points that we're going to see, the same way that we saw the Mars revolution happening throughout season 1, I think we're going to see stuff going on within Bari and kind of them trying to overthrow the caste system and the Great Council. So that's I think that's going to happen in general. I don't think we're going to talk about that next episode per se. I think that's just going to be kind of a growing issue throughout the season. And yeah, the opening credits tell you what the season about the war, the Great War coming up. I'm assuming that's about the Mbari. Maybe it's actually about the shadow people versus the shadow spiders versus the light. We'll find out.
Time will tell.
Yep. So guys, thanks for hanging out with us, and I look forward to seeing you next week at our usual hour of scampering.
Thanks for coming, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit that like button and share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you will, and be sure to hit that bell icon to be notified of all the updates I do on this channel. If you want to support the work I'm doing here, then I hope you'll consider becoming one of my Patreons, where you'll get early access to all kinds of videos. And until the next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.